So tonight I want to talk just a little bit about a very peculiar verse from the book of Genesis. It's chapter 24, verse 63. It says, "And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming." Specifically, the part I'd like to talk about is the first half of that verse, "And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide." That word, to meditate, the Hebrew word is suach, and it occurs only here in all of the Bible, this one time. Other times in the Bible where the word meditate is used, and it's used quite a lot, it refers to the act of pondering on the scriptures to determine their deeper meaning, or perhaps pondering on them in a meditative sort of way to deepen the spirit and the mind, as in, for instance, Lectio Divina. But here, the word is referring to a state of consciousness that, although we have access to it today, has largely been forgotten. This one word, suach, to meditate, which occurs only here in Genesis and all of the Bible, is what we call a piece of sediment. It is a piece of almost like archaeological sediment. It is a word that has drifted into the historic and textual, scriptural canon without anyone really knowing how it got there, and without anyone even remembering today what it means. "And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide." I like that old-fashioned word, eventide, because it gives you the feeling of what you actually see if you go out into a field at dusk, which is the feeling of a tide coming in and being submersed in the darkness, being immersed in it, saturated by it. It really is like a tide. Tides also are natural markers. They are natural boundary lines. We don't normally associate the physical tides of the ocean with anything like consciousness. We might say the ebb and flow of life, or the ebb and flow of fortunes. We might use various metaphors. We don't think of it that way. But when we think about the ebb and flow of light, really what we're seeing is a portrait of our own circadian rhythms and our own consciousness. We're actually, if you go out to the field at eventide to be there and to pray or to meditate, you're actually not going out into a place, you're going into a place. You're going into a deeper state of mind or a deeper relationship to nature. What we would call green meditation. That word designates a world, a whole world of consciousness that today, although we still have access to it, we have mostly lost touch with. So, going out to meditate in the field in the late afternoon is like an act of surrendering the troubles of the day, surrendering all the ambitions of the day, all of the dissatisfactions of the day, the yearnings, the feelings of want, all the things that separate us from one another, all the desires. Our needs don't separate us from one another. Our needs are all very basic, and they are basically the same. There's no individual quality about a need. If it manifests an individual quality, it's a desire, but our needs are very basic, and they unify us. It's very easy to come together and fulfill needs and to feel fellowship with people. It's one of the reasons why we gather together when we want to be close to people and eat with them, right? Gather together and we feast, or we have dinner together, or lunch. It expresses a basic equality and a feeling of intimacy between people, because we're meeting one another on our most basic level. Going out into the field at the eventide is a place of going back to our very most basic needs. All the desires begin to subside with the darkness. This, by the way, is one of the reasons why we have so much light today. Light And capitalist expansionism are one and the same. They are so wedded to one another, they might as well be identical. Because desires are compounded by light. Think about advertising. All advertising is light. All advertising is light-driven, right?
Artificial light.
Artificial light, yeah. Or even if it isn't artificial light, it's high contrast, translucent paper that's lit from above or behind, and where strong contrast stand out. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when we think about getting and spending and consuming and feeling driven to fulfill desires, which are amplified needs that are amplified out of all proportion, so that we compete to fulfill them, and we feel bad if we can't fulfill them as well as other people. These things are all amplified by light. And once we begin to see artificial light making strong incursions into nighttime, even to this degree now, we see desires following them. We don't know whether the desires are pushing back the tide of darkness to make room for themselves, or if somehow the act of rolling back the darkness and rolling out more light simply brings the desires along with them. It's like it's isometric, but we do know that light and desire belong together. One of the easiest things that you can do if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or anxious or worried is to simply dim the lights. Therapists have known this for quite a long time. World which seems to be held in place so intractably and so stubbornly by light and by everything that light represents. Very, very strong sets of opposites, fine discernments and differentiations, all the things that we use to tell ourselves apart from others and to partition the various parts of ourselves into what we like and don't like, what we yearn for, what we shun. Right? All these things are allowed to, these discernments, these differentiations are allowed to recede into the twilight. So Isaac goes out to meditate in the field at the eventide to let the darkness, the evening, roll across him and to naturally alter his consciousness. Now, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, so let me explain the other side of it as well. You can also go out into the field at the daylight and watch the daylight coming up and watch the hours of vibrant, creative awareness come to light as well. You can also witness that happening. What happens in our society is that we're awake for the dawn, pretty much all of us, but we're not awake to the twilight. So we only have one half of the picture. We're awake to that side of life which says it's daylight, it's time to get busy, it's time to get to work, it's time to accomplish something, it's time to mean something, to stand for something. You know, there are all these activities that sort of drive us through our days and drive us from day to day and from week to week, month to month, and year to year throughout an entire lifetime, so that we may not pause even long enough to realize that we are driven. All we have to do, really, is to complete the natural balance of light and dark by focusing on the evening in order to rebalance ourselves so that we can live saner lives. Most of us get up in the morning, for instance, and even without realizing it, we pretty much review what we want to do during the day. But how many of us, when the light begins to fade, then turn about and look back on the day and review it, and review the quality of our actions, quality of our thoughts and deeds, quality of our feelings, whether we brought love and compassion and healing to the world, to ourselves and other people, or whether we nurture the opposite of those things. And realistically, in what proportion each of these occurred, because it's never black or white. In fact, any day, if we review it carefully enough, will be found to contain moments in which we acted compassionately and moments when we did not, either towards ourselves, our environment, or other people. But how many of us do that? Rather, what we would do is we would turn on a light switch to avoid doing that, or we would turn on a television to avoid it. We would do almost anything. That's the purpose of these devices, is really to roll back the darkness and extend the light so that we just go out like a light when we finally do go out, and we get to skip this process of recollection. Without which, really, there's not only is there no spiritual progress, but also things get terribly out of control. Think of it as a course correction. I always like to think of it this way. The stars are eternal, and they will always tell us the right way to go. We can't see them by daylight. All we can see is the sun. The sun races across the sky, and all it's saying all day long is, get busy. There's a lot to do here. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. There's only so much light. Only so much light. And then the light starts to fade and say, oh, we need more light. So turn on lights. Do, more. You're exhausted, then boom, you're out like a light. When that happens, there's no chance for a course correction. If you're lucky, you have a dream that is disquieting, or perhaps a positive dream, which might confirm that you're on the right way. So a positive or life-affirming or guiding dream maybe just say, yes, you are on the right track. Or a disturbing dream that might say, something about today didn't quite sit well with me, and I have to think about it. I'm not quite sure what it is. If I think about it, maybe I'll figure it out. Dreams really are like the only place it gets in. Or if we're lucky enough to have an enemy, or an adversary, or an honest friend or family member, they might be willing to tell us, right? But we can't count on that. If we don't witness the stars coming out at night, and I'm speaking largely figuratively here, although you can take it literally as well, we don't know if we are on course from one day to the next, much less 1 week to the next or 1 year to the next. We have no idea if we're even going in the right direction. We have no idea what a direction in life would even consist of. And so it's very, very important to take this verse to heart and its true meaning. What Isaac is going out in the field to do is to do his daily course correction, to review, to allow his own consciousness to be subverted by darkness. That's what happens. Subverted by darkness. It's a beautiful thing. It's as if we fill up this cup, this bowl, all day long with things that we think are important, we think we need, and some of them we do need, and most of them we don't. It's mostly desire, very little need. The needs fill up only the very bottom of the bowl. We don't need much, actually. And it gets full and full and full until finally it's almost brimming over, and darkness comes along and goes. Because we really don't need anything while we're asleep. We don't even need the world. And we wake up in the morning, and the cup is mostly fairly empty, and we immediately begin to put things back into it again. But we put the same old things back into it thoughtlessly and heedlessly, heedless of our own happiness, of our own true needs, of our own need for companionship and love and good deeds. We just put the same old stuff in it all day long until the nighttime comes, and then it just mostly sits like this. And at a certain point, if we're lucky, some point during the night it begins to spill out. But more and more each day, we start off the day with a bowl that's already got a lot of silt in it, and a lot of stuff in it. So by the time we get to be middle-aged, we don't really start off with an empty bowl at all at the beginning of the day. So Isaac is teaching us how to do this, or how to allow this to happen. It's a natural process. He simply goes out and submits to it. He goes out into it and joins it and allows it to happen. And I think that's the meaning of that verse.